Hi, I'm Craig Ralston. I'm the Senior Reserve Manager for Natural England for the Lower Derwent Valley National Nature Reserves. National Nature Reserves are basically the best of the best, so the jewels in the crown of British wildlife sites. The Lower Derwent Valley is essentially one of the sort of best ecologically intact river floodplain systems in England, if not Europe. In the winter time we'd be sort of neck deep in water as the River Derwent tops its banks, and then gradually as those floodwaters recede in the summer months, we're left with a whole mosaic of really sort of flower rich, traditionally managed hay meadows, open water bodies like the pools and the ditches, the River Derwent itself and the Pocklington Canal, and also these sort of wetter areas, the swamp communities and the sort of wet woodland reed beds. So a whole range of habitats associated with the sort of River Derwent.
And what wildlife can people expect to see down here when they come and visit?
Well, it changes throughout the year, and that's one of the nice things here. It's really seasonal. So if you came in the winter time when it's one great big 2,000 acre lake, it's probably one of the most spectacular sort of inland sites for wintering waterfowl. So you've got 60,000 ducks, swans, geese, wading birds that have come from the Arctic right across to sort of Siberia to spend the winter here because it's relatively mild. So to see them all in the air, sort of twisting and turning, the kaleidoscope of colour as a peregrine falcon's chasing them, is, you know, a sort of really dramatic experience. And nice to see on land because it's something you more sort of traditionally associate with estuaries, I guess. And then as we go through the summer, you've got the vast array of the different colours of the different flowers in the meadows. A lot of species that have been lost from, you know, most sort of meadows around the country, so ragged robin, greater bonnet, narrow-leaved water dropwort, and, you know, drumming snipe, the sort of haunting calls of curlews and lapwing overhead, and the barn owl drifting lazily by. So depending on when you come, there's always something really nice and special to see.
Tell us about the sort of rarer wildlife, the sort of jewels in the wildlife crown, as it were, that reside here.
Well, as we've just been walking around, we've just seen a pair of gargany, which are a summer migrant duck. They actually spend the winter down in Africa and come here for the summer months to breed. Now, gargany is not a common bird in the UK, probably about 100 pairs in an average year, and Lower Derwent Valley is probably one of the strongholds in England for the species, with sort of 4 or 5 birds most years. So we've been really lucky tonight to actually see those because they're quite shy and secretive. But again, if you're sitting in the hide, you've got a good chance of seeing one of those.
And I understand that Lower Derwent Valley is actually home to one of Britain's more rarer birds, the corncrake. How often do they appear?
Well, traditionally, corncrakes are a bird of dry hay meadows and sort of farmland, and the Lower Derwent Valley probably offers you one of the sort of best chances of catching up with the species in England. They're more or less confined to the sort of Scottish islands and the northwest of Scotland now as a breeding species. But usually most years we get 1 or 2 calling males. Whether they're stopping off on the way to Scotland or whether they're staying to breed, we're not quite sure. We certainly know they breed some years. We're coming up to the last week in May, first week in June, which is typically the peak time. Corncrakes generally are crepuscular, which means that they're sort of more active at dawn and dusk. And I think the peak calling time's between midnight and 3 a.m. So if people want to come out in the middle of the night and have a wander around, and there'll be plenty of other sort of noises out there, then, you know, you can possibly hear the rasping, rather monotonous call of the corncrake.